Hey there, YouTubers. All right, so occasionally I come across software that's out there that didn't realize either was out there or its capabilities. Whether this capability is that great or not is another story, but this is Precision X1 by EVGA. Now, why is this one interesting? Well, the mere fact that it will, scan your computer, not that big a deal, right? Tells you how many GPUs you have, what they are, CPU, how many hard drives, how many SSDs, and then you make the choice whether your CPU is overclocked. Currently, actually, mine's not. So then you're going to hit submit. And what that does is brings up EVGA's page. And this thing actually, yeah, we screwed that up. Oops. Oopskies. Let me try that again. Oopskies. I don't know if I have any in there, but let's say I want two. That's only got one. Hey there, YouTubers. Right, so occasionally I come across software that has been out there a while. I never use it, and then I find some neat little feature. Whether this one's accurate or not, another story. But this is EVGA Precision X1. Now, this will do some hardware monitoring, which is nice, right? Not as awesome as MSI Afterburner, but right now, MSI Afterburner's got all kinds of problems due to the newest version of Windows. And so I'm out looking for something that doesn't have a problem with the new version of Windows, because it's kind of killing the video game making process. Alright, so back to this. So I tried down at the bottom, you can see FPS monitor, which isn't free. This actually, seems to do possibly what I need it to do for gaming. In the meantime, $10. But then I downloaded EVGA Precision X1, which I was hoping was a MSI Afterburner knockoff. And there's some stuff in here that makes it similar, but not quite. Does not appear to have the same capabilities. However, I could be wrong. It might work with other softwares. But that's not why we're here, okay? Inside of here is this power thing. So first thing you would do is go in here and scan this. Now it won't let me hit scan again, but it'll take a few minutes. It's going to scan your computer. It tells me I have one GPU. That GPU is a GTX 1080. It tells me I have a CPU, and it says i9-9900K. It says I have a hard drive. It says I have two solid states. Whether this is accurate or not, it's another story. But if you look over here, it appears to be this is a solid state, that's a solid state. And this is a 1.5-inch hard drive. So everything's good. Now, is your CPU overclocked? I'm not sure why they made this manual, except that it can't go into Intel's Extreme Tuning utility, I guess, and tell us that. I will say power limits are set to unlimited, but it's not does not have a core overclock. All right, so once you put this information in, hit good old submit. Then basically what this is a power supply calculator. You see wattage calculated 446. Now yours truly always likes at least 100 watt buffer, right? But one thing that's probably is helping you with is the efficiencies. So if you had this titanium, I don't know necessarily that you could get away with a 450 watt power supply, but you'd be pretty darn close to, you know, if this said 100% efficiency, then we could say probably that a 450 watt power supply is good enough, right? That's a little unrealistic. Obviously, there aren't any power supplies out there at 100%. So 94 is pretty good. Now, if I did the math, I would say maybe 550 might work here. I disagree with them to say, 500 might work, but 450 is not going to be a valuable resource. Hey there, YouTubers. Right, so, you know, occasionally we come across software out there that we've never tried. We know it exists, but we don't try it. And something goes wrong with our favorite software, and therefore we have to do something different. So, MSI Afterburner. It's having all kinds of problems with the latest Windows version. From not showing the FPS to giving you an error about not hooking some components, to flickering of white boxes, which is, you know, pretty much going to kill any interest in watching the videos, right? It's going to give somebody a headache. So I'm out trying to find some other software. We tried this FPS monitor down below. It seems to be okay. Got to pay for it though. I don't really like paying for stuff. Then I said, let me go check Precision X1. Now this one, you know, most likely if I toy around with it, it probably works with some other software programs. We'll see. It does have an FPS monitor in it. Might be good enough. I'm going to try it out. But what we're here to talk about really is this is got a built-in power supply calculator. Now, how accurate is this? That's a good story. And whether you should go with their recommendations, it's questionable. Yours truly likes a 100 watt buffer. So what I would say is I'd use what this calculates and add 100 watts to it. All right, or think of the future. Maybe you want that RTX 3090 one day. Why buy a 400 watt power supply? That's not going to get done, right? So in here, let's talk about what it does. You'd go in, hit scan. It's going to tell you what's in your computer. So GPU mount, there is one graphics card. It's GTX 1080. CPU, there's your CPU. HDD amount, 1. SSD amount, 2. So if we look over here, we do have 2 solid states, and this is a 2.5-inch laptop hard drive. Is your CPU overclocked? Now they leave this up to you. It is does have power limit set to unlimited. Now that in itself kind of almost makes you think maybe you should click on yes here if you have that setting. Definitely if you have it overclocked. So the fact is you have to do this before you hit scan because you can't do it after the fact, right? So let's just assume you don't like to overclock. Lots of people do that. This is still better CPU than the i9-9900. Alright. Hit submit. What does submit hit? Submit is going to bring up EVGA's page. Now, it has done a calculation of your wattage. Of course, what does that not really take into account? It might not take into account those 20 ARGB case fans that you have. It might not take into account dual fans on your CPU tower. Might not take into account all the USB crap you've got hooked up to your computer, right? So have a buffer, folks. I don't know that this is the best. So let's talk about this as well. It's recommendations. Now, they give you all these right here, okay? And efficiency level, basically, you know, you put in X amount of power into this thing and you get X amount of power out, right? So it is reduced. You've got electrical power that is going through all of these different components. by the time it gets out, it has dropped down a bit. All right, so 100% power is not something you're going to get out of a PSU. 94% is pretty awesome for titanium. You're going to pay for it. That may actually be worth it over time. And one day I will sit down and calculate that if I've wasted a lot of money. Considering I've got probably 30 or 40 power supplies, and I'd have to spend a lot of money to replace all of them. So, all right, so let's look at this number. If this is really accurate, 446 watts. If we were to go 94% efficiency, and I believe this is titanium right here. Nope, this is not titanium. Where is titanium? This is what's goofy about this, folks. Okay, so they suggest titanium and they don't actually show you titanium. Well, maybe there isn't titanium available for this one. What I was going to get at, though, is even if this was titanium and it's calculating this wattage, 450 is not going to work. At best, 500 watts is going to work. Same with the platinum. Maybe even with gold, but that puts it right on the border. Bronze, definitely not. White, definitely not. So these guys need to be at least 500 to 550. This one probably should be 500. Excuse me. These two should definitely be 500. This one's kind of on the fence. I'd say 550. 550. 550. All right. Now, that's a 100-watt buffer. So what do they actually show you down here? You've got bronze, 450. Not going to cut it. They show you 500-watt bronze. All right, so it just so happens, folks, I actually have a 500-watt bronze in here. Now, is this the best power supply for this? Probably not. Why? Because I do actually overclock, and we have power limits set to unlimited. So I might be doing myself a disservice one day when my computer reboots because it's sucking up more power than it is getting from the power supply. So honestly, 550 bronze would have been good, just as they show. Yeah, it's working. There's no doubt it works. And there's a potential that we would max out our wattage. All right. So, hey, this is somewhat of a good program, but just remember, I believe that you should add at least another 100 watts to it. No matter what they say, add another 100 watts. Hey, thanks for checking out my video. Please like, please subscribe. Thank you.